Why do I deny the truths that are too painful to confront, even when they continue to harm me? Think about that question for a moment. Why do we, as human beings, often deny the painful truths that stare us in the face, even when ignoring them only continues to harm us? This isn't just a theoretical question. It's something that impacts our daily lives, it impacts our relationships, and even our relationship to our sense of self. Denial is one of the most common defense mechanisms we use to protect ourselves from the things that scare us or make us feel uncomfortable. Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis, introduced the idea of defense mechanisms, that these unconscious strategies in which our mind employs to protect us from unpleasant thoughts or feelings that we don't want to face head on. Among these, denial and repression are the most prevalent, but also the most damaging for us psychologically. They might shield us temporarily from reality, but in the long run, they hold us back from living an authentic, fulfilling life. Let's start, for example, with denial. Denial is more than just refusing to accept reality. It's about pushing certain truths so far out of our own awareness that we convince ourselves that they don't exist. On the surface, this might seem like a way to keep ourselves safe from certain things, but what's really happening here is that we're avoiding the very things we need to face in order to grow as individuals. Imagine you're in a relationship that's clearly falling apart, for example. The signs are there: constant arguments, emotional distance, and things of this nature. Maybe even infidelity in some sort of cases. But instead of confronting these issues, you tell yourself everything is fine, as many do. This denial might give you temporary relief, escapism, or an escapism from the truth, but it also keeps you stuck in a situation that's damaging you internally, preventing you from either fixing the relationship or moving on from the relationship. This is where cognitive dissonance comes into play. Cognitive dissonance is, of course, the mental discomfort we feel when we hold two contradictory beliefs. But ultimately, when we deny reality, we're only prolonging the pain, making it harder to resolve the situation. Closely related to this is repression. While denial is about refusing to acknowledge the truth, repression goes a step further by unconsciously burying these truths behind our own minds through repression. Repression can occur when we experience something traumatic, or when we have feelings that we believe are unacceptable. Think about someone who was bullied as a child, for example. Instead of dealing with the trauma, they might repress those memories, pushing them out of conscious awareness. As an adult, they might struggle with low self-esteem or anxiety in social situations without understanding why. The repressed memories continue to influence their behavior and emotions without them really knowing that it's doing so, even though they're not fully aware of them. So how do we move beyond these defense mechanisms? Is there a philosophical kind of narrative which we can follow that makes sense for us, that's reasonable? How do we confront the truths we've been denying or repressing? One powerful way to approach this is through the existential philosophy of Martin Heidegger, in particular, his concept of being towards death. Heidegger argued that to live authentically as a human being, we must confront the reality of our mortality. By acknowledging that our time is limited, we're pushed to live more fully every single day, to face the truths we've been avoiding, and to make the most of the time we have. This idea of being towards death isn't about being per se obsessed or something like this with dying or the idea of death or this type of thing, but about understanding that our lives are finite and that each moment matters. When we are not reminded of our own mortality, we can fall into this sense of self where we lack a sense of urgency towards life itself, and then are therefore more likely to live life in a meaningless way. without vitality, without a sense of urgency towards a purpose or anything like this. And it is this sense of meaninglessness which is going to make us commit to excuses that will deny the best life that we could possibly live or go towards, which would give rise to the coping mechanisms of denial and repression, rather than trying to actually achieve and be the individuals we truly want to become. So when we embrace this perspective, the defenses we've built up, like denial, repression, and all these others, they start to lose their power. We begin to see that every moment spent in denial is instead a moment we're not truly living. By accepting the reality of our situation, no matter how painful, we open the door to personal growth, to healing, and towards a more authentic existence. So how do we take these ideas and apply them to our own lives? It starts with self-reflection. Ask yourself, why do I deny the truths that are too painful to confront, that I mentioned at the beginning of this video? Even when they continue to harm me, why do I do that? This isn't about judging yourself per se. It's about becoming aware of the areas in your life where you might be in denial or repressing your true feelings. Maybe it's a job that no longer fulfills you, but you're too afraid to make that change. Or perhaps it's a relationship that's causing more harm than growth, or more harm than good. But the fear of being alone keeps you from leaving. Something like this, who knows? Whatever it is that is difficult to confront, that holds the truth. By bringing these shadows into some form of light, you can begin to dissolve the hold they have over you. Now, an important thing to remember is that, of course, denial and repression and all these other defense mechanisms, they might protect us in the short term, which is the actual purpose to why they exist. Protection in the short term. It's a coping mechanism, right? But they also imprison you in the long term if you keep using them. To live authentically, we need to confront the truths we've been avoiding. That is the most necessary thing we need to do here. It's not an easy journey, of course, but it's one that leads to greater freedom in the long run, fulfillment, and a deeper connection with who you actually are as a person. And this is, of course, why I have made the Shadow Work course, and why I've incorporated the understanding of defense mechanisms into the course. Not many people talk about how defense mechanisms and the idea of shadow work are actually intimately linked together, and that understanding where and how you actually unconsciously use defense mechanisms in your daily life actually tells you a lot about what is within your shadow and what you actually need to learn and work with to integrate within yourself so that you can overcome some of these coping mechanisms that deny you of the life that you actually want to live. So if you are interested in doing that course, which is the Shadow Work course, which came out very recently, you can check out the full description of what's involved with that course in my link in the comments and also in the bio underneath this video. What you will get with that course is an extensive video library of videos that are going to basically guide you through how to use the worksheets that I provided from the course, which is over 10 plus worksheets within the workbook that you'll get with the course. You'll also get a one-on-one direct network access to the Shadow Work community, which will give you an ability to contact me directly if you have any questions or any queries about the course and your journey going through it. So if that is something you are interested in and you have some sort of calling to that, of being able to work through these aspects of yourself so that you can become a more fulfilled individual, then do check that out. Read the description of the course down below and I will see you inside. So thanks for watching and I will speak to you in the next video.